The stellar cartographer drifted through the Carina Nebula's outer reaches, its sensors drinking in data about the surrounding cosmos. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the bridge's observation window, watching the purple-tinged gases swirl against the backdrop of distant stars. The research vessel's mission was simple: map unexplored regions of space and collect data about stellar phenomena. No one expected they would make first contact. "Captain, I'm detecting unusual energy signatures at bearing 347. Lieutenant Rodriguez called from his station. Pattern suggests artificial origin." Chen turned from the window, her expression thoughtful. Humanity had yet to encounter another spacefaring civilization, though most scientists agreed it was inevitable. "Show me." The main display lit up with a complex energy pattern that pulsed with regular intervals. Whatever was generating it had to be massive, and it was heading their way. "Multiple objects just dropped out of FTL," Rodriguez reported, his voice tense. "Configuration suggests a patrol formation." 3 sleek vessels emerged from the nebula's gases, their hulls covered in intricate patterns that seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal. They were clearly more advanced than anything humanity had produced, but Chen noticed they maintained a defensive posture. Whoever they were just as cautious about first contact as humans. "Open all standard frequencies," Chen ordered. "Let's introduce ourselves before anyone gets nervous." Her communications officer, Dr. Emily Walsh, began broadcasting their first contact package, a carefully crafted series of mathematical sequences and simple pictographic messages designed to establish peaceful intent. They waited. The response came quickly, but not in the form they expected. The alien vessel suddenly deployed what appeared to be sensor arrays, bathing the stellar cartographer in various scanning beams. "They're trying to analyze us," Walsh said, studying the incoming data. "But there's something wrong with how their systems are interpreting our engine signature. The translation matrix is showing they think our research equipment is." She never finished. The alien vessels suddenly shifted formation, weapons ports opening along their hulls. "They think we're armed," Chen realized, her mind racing. The stellar cartographer's fusion drive must appear similar to whatever weapons these beings used. "Send the first contact package again. All frequencies. Add visual feeds of our laboratories, our research." The first shot streaked past their bow. A warning. Chen knew the next one wouldn't miss. "Engineering, give me everything you can from the drive," she ordered. "Navigation, plot us a course through the densest part of the nebula. If they want to chase us, they'll have to deal with the radiation interference." The stellar cartographer's engines flared to life, pushing the ship toward the purple clouds ahead. But Chen wasn't running away. She was buying time. Every second they stayed ahead of their pursuers was another second for Walsh to refine the translation protocols. "They're broadcasting something," Walsh reported, her fingers dancing across her console. "It's structured, not just warnings or threats. They're trying to establish communication parameters." "Keep working on it," Chen replied, watching the tactical display as the alien vessels pursued them into the nebula. "And get me everything you can about their scanning techniques. If they think our engine is a weapon, maybe we can figure out why." The chase had begun, but Chen allowed herself a small smile. Humanity's first contact might have started with a misunderstanding, but they were about to show these aliens something they'd never seen before: human ingenuity under pressure. Behind them, the alien vessels moved in perfect formation, their commanders likely confident in their superior technology. They didn't realize that sometimes the most dangerous opponent wasn't the one with the biggest guns. It was the one who could turn a research vessel's equipment into unexpected advantages. The nebula's gases swirled around them, and Chen began formulating a plan. They had a ship full of scientists, a database of theoretical physics, and nothing to lose. It was time to show their pursuers why humans had survived everything their own world had thrown at them. The real first contact was about to begin. The stellar cartographer's bridge hummed with focused energy as the crew worked to turn their scientific equipment into tools of survival. Through the view screen, The nebula's gases cast everything in an ethereal purple glow, occasional flashes of radiation creating false stars in the cosmic soup. Their scanning technology relies heavily on quantum resonance detection, Dr. Walsh announced, her eyes never leaving her station's readouts. Captain Chen nodded, her mind already racing with possibilities. Dr. Patel, what about the gravitational mapping array? The ship's lead physicist looked up from his calculations, understanding dawning in his eyes. The array generates its own quantum field for detecting spatial distortions. If we reconfigure it, we could mask our engine signature, Chen finished. Do it. As Paddle's team worked, Lieutenant Rodriguez kept track of their pursuers. They're maintaining distance but not closing. Whatever their weapons are, this nebula's affecting their targeting systems. Chen studied the tactical display. The alien vessels moved with precision that spoke of advanced technology and training, but they were also following standard pursuit protocols, probably because they'd never encountered a situation quite like this. Dr. Patel, how's that reconfiguration coming? Almost there, he replied. But Captain, we could do more than just hide our signature. The array's field could be modified to mimic our engine's quantum profile. We could create false targets. A slow smile spread across Chen's face. How many? 3, maybe 4. They won't last long. But they don't need to, Chen interrupted. Lieutenant Rodriguez, plot us a course through that dense patch of gases ahead. Dr. Walsh, keep working on those translations. Everyone else, prepare for some creative physics. The next few minutes were a symphony of coordinated action. As they approached the densest part of the nebula, Paddle's team brought the modified gravitational array online. Suddenly, 3 phantom signatures identical to the stellar cartographer appeared, each seemingly diverging on a different course. The alien vessel's reaction was immediate. Their perfect formation split as they attempted to pursue what they thought were multiple targets. But Chen wasn't done yet. Dr. Patel, remember that theory you had about using the mapping array to detect quantum entanglement in stellar phenomena? The physicist's eyes widened. Captain, that was just a theoretical model for studying quantum connections in spacetime. We've never actually. But it could work. Patel hesitated. The math is sound, but at this scale, in these conditions, sometimes the best science happens under pressure, Chen said. Make it work. What followed was either brilliant improvisation or controlled chaos, perhaps both. The gravitational mapping array, never designed for such applications, began generating quantum entanglement fields through the nebula gases. The radiation-charged particles became temporarily linked across space, creating paths of connected quantum states. Entanglement field stable, Paddle reported. But I don't see how this helps us. Chen's fingers flew across her console, inputting a new course. Watch and learn, Doctor. Everyone, brace for acceleration. The stellar cartographer dove into one of the entanglement fields. For a moment, the ship seemed to exist in multiple states at once, its position uncertain in the quantum flux. Then they emerge, behind their pursuers. The uncertainty principle on a macro scale, Patel whispered, staring at his readings in awe. We used quantum entanglement to temporarily exist in a superposition of states. That's human science, Chen finished. Dr. Walsh, broadcast on all frequencies. Let's show our friends out there that we can do more than run. The alien vessels had frozen in place, their formation completely disrupted. Whatever they had expected from what they thought was a primitive vessel, it wasn't this. The quantum physics display they just witnessed went beyond anything their tactical doctrines had prepared them for. They're responding, Walsh announced. The translation matrix is better now. They're asking how we did that. Chen smiled. Tell them that's just the beginning. Humanity has a lot more to share if they're willing to talk instead of shoot. The response came quickly. A stand-down signal followed by a request for proper communication protocols. As Walsh worked to establish a clear channel, Chen looked around her bridge. Every member of her crew had just helped turn theoretical physics into practical defense, transforming a research vessel into something that had earned the respect of an advanced alien civilization. "Dr. Patel," she called out, "I believe you have a new paper to write. Practical applications of quantum entanglement in first contact scenarios. The scientific community back home is going to love this." But their celebration would have to wait. On the long-range sensors, something else was appearing, something that would make their recent chase seem like a minor misunderstanding in comparison to what was coming. The holographic display between the two ships' commanders crackled with residual nebula interference. Captain Chen found herself facing a being that appeared almost crystalline, with translucent skin that pulsed with internal light. The alien commander, who had introduced themselves as Observer Commander Ixel, studied her with equally intense curiosity. "Your demonstration of quantum manipulation was unexpected," Ixel said, their translated words carrying a harmonic undertone. "Our records suggested your species had only achieved basic space travel." "Your records are incomplete," Chen replied diplomatically. "We prefer to let our actions speak for themselves." "Indeed." Ixel's skin flickered with what Chen was beginning to recognize as amusement. Though perhaps in the future, less dramatic introductions would be advisable. The moment of understanding was interrupted by urgent alerts from both ships' sensor arrays. Lieutenant Rodriguez and his alien counterparts spoke almost simultaneously. Multiple anomalies detected at the nebula's edge. Void signatures approaching. The tactical display transformed into a nightmare of warning indicators. Massive objects were emerging from what appeared to be tiers in space itself, things that defied normal physics, their shapes seeming to bend reality around them. "The hollow," Ixel whispered, their crystalline form dimming with what could only be fear. "We thought they were just legends, stories to frighten young ones about the dangers of deep space." The sensor data painted a terrifying picture. These entities weren't ships in any conventional sense. They were more like mobile rifts in spacetime, consuming everything in their path. Energy readings suggested they were converting matter directly into some form of exotic energy. "They're heading toward the nearest populated systems," Chen realized, watching their trajectory. "Your worlds or ours, it doesn't matter to them, does it?" "No." Ixel's response was grim. "The stories say they see all conventional matter as fuel, but we have no weapons that can affect them. Our most powerful energy weapons pass right through their distortion fields." Chen watched the entities approach, her mind racing. "Dr. Patel, what about the quantum entanglement fields we created earlier? Could we use them to disrupt these things?" The physicist studied the incoming data, his expression thoughtful. "These entities seem to exist partially outside normal spacetime. If we could generate a large enough entanglement field, we could force them fully into our reality," finished Ixel's science officer, their crystalline form brightening with sudden understanding. "Make them subject to conventional physics. But we'd need more power than either of our ships can generate alone," Patel cautioned. Chen turned to Ixel. "What if we combined our technologies? Your quantum resonance weapons synchronized with our entanglement fields." The alien commander was silent for a moment, internal lights swirling in complex patterns. "Such integration has never been attempted. The risks are less than the certainty of what happens if we do nothing," Chen finished. "We've already shown that our technologies can work together in unexpected ways. Your weapons mistook our engine signature for something familiar. Maybe that compatibility goes deeper than we thought." The next hour was a frenzy of cooperation that would have seemed impossible just hours earlier. Human scientists worked alongside crystalline aliens, combining theoretical models and practical experience. They had to invent new mathematics on the spot to describe how their technologies could interact. "The key is harmonics," Dr. Walsh discovered, working with the alien communications officer. "Their quantum resonance weapons operate on frequencies that naturally complement our entanglement fields. If we modulate both, we create a cascade effect," Patel continued. "Their weapons provide the power, our fields provide the focus. Together, we can punch through their distortion barriers, Ixal concluded, force them to exist fully in our reality. As the hollow drew closer, the combined fleet put their desperate plan into action. The stellar cartographer's gravitational mapping array, never designed for combat, began generating massive quantum entanglement fields. The alien vessel's weapon systems, reconfigured to synchronize with human technology, pulsed with power. Chen watched the tactical display, knowing they would only get one chance at this. All ships, coordinate firing solutions. Time to show these entities that humanity and the crystalline collective can do more than just chase each other through nebulas. The void entities approach, reality warping around their impossible forms, but they were about to learn something that humans had known for centuries. The most significant breakthroughs often came from combining different perspectives in ways no one had ever considered before. The nebula turned into a battlefield of physics and possibility as the combined human crystalline fleet engaged the hollow. Reality itself seemed to bend and twist as the void entities approach, their presence distorting light and matter around them. Entanglement field at maximum stability, Dr. Puddle reported, his voice steady despite the strain showing on his face. Crystalline vessels in position for synchronized firing. Captain Chen watched as the alien ships moved with fluid grace, their formations now complementing rather than opposing the stellar cartographer's position. On the command channel, Observer Commander Ixal's crystalline form pulsed with focused energy. "My weapons officers report ready," Ixal announced, though they still expressed doubt about channeling this much power through untested configurations. "Sometimes the best innovations come from necessity," Chen replied. "Dr. Walsh, how's our communication sync?" "Holding stable. The quantum resonance from their weapons is actually improving our translation accuracy. It's like we're starting to speak the same language, not just translate it." The void entities were close enough now that their true nature became apparent. They weren't ships or beings in any conventional sense. They were tiers in the universe itself, places where the fundamental laws of physics broke down. Through the rifts in their forms, something else could be seen. A darkness that wasn't just absence of light, but absence of existence itself. "All ships, commence Phase 1, Chen ordered. "Let's show these things what happens when two species stop fighting each other and start fighting together." The stellar cartographer's modified gravitational array hummed to life, generating quantum entanglement fields that spread through the nebula gases like invisible webs. The crystalline vessel's weapons powered up in sequence, their energy signatures harmonizing with the human technology in ways their designers had never imagined possible. "First target approaching optimal range," Rodriguez reported. "Their distortion field is already trying to warp our entanglement pattern." "Hold steady," Chen commanded. "Wait for full synchronization." The lead void entity moved exactly where they wanted it, drawn by the energy signatures of the combined fleet. When it reached the center of their trap, Chen gave the order, "Execute." What followed was a symphony of synchronized action. The crystalline vessels fired their quantum resonance weapons directly into the human-generated entanglement fields. The energies combined, amplified, and transformed. A beam of pure quantum manipulation lanced out, striking the void entity's distortion field. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then reality itself appeared to shudder. "It's working," Patil exclaimed. "The combined fields are forcing it to exist in a single quantum state. Its distortion field is collapsing." The void entity's impossible form began to solidify. Its connection to whatever dark dimension it came from severed by the quantum manipulation. As it fully materialized in normal space, its true form became visible and vulnerable. "Crystalline vessels, target the materialized form," Ixal ordered. "Human science has given us our opening. Now we show them our strength." The alien ship's conventional weapons struck the now solid entity with devastating effect. Without its distortion field, it was simply matter, exotic and powerful, but subject to the same laws of physics as everything else in this universe. "One down," Chen announced, "but 5 more to go." And they'll have learned from this. Everyone ready for round 2. The remaining void entities had indeed learned. They began moving in complex patterns, trying to avoid the areas where the quantum entanglement fields were strongest. But they hadn't counted on human adaptability or crystalline precision. They're attempting to calculate safe trajectories, Ixal observed. But they don't understand that we're not following a program. Chen finished. Dr. Patel, show them some human improvisation. Modify the entanglement field pattern. Make it unpredictable. What followed was a deadly dance of physics and innovation. The human scientists continuously altered their field patterns, while the crystalline weapons officers adjusted their targeting with impossible precision. Every time the void entities thought they had found a safe approach, the combined fleet changed tactics. 3 more down, Rodriguez reported after another successful engagement. But our power systems are reaching critical levels. The array wasn't designed for this kind of continuous operation. Chen nodded grimly. And the last 2 are moving more intelligently now. They're learning, adapting. Then we must adapt faster, Ixal declared. My science officer has a proposal. Dangerous. But these are dangerous times. As the final void entities approached, both fleets prepared for their riskiest gambit yet. They would need every bit of human ingenuity and crystalline precision to survive what came next. The remaining void entities loomed before the combined fleet, their distortion fields rippling with dark energy. The stellar cartographer's systems were strained to their limits, and the crystalline vessel's weapons showed signs of stress from operating outside their designed parameters. Explain this plan of yours, Chen said to Ixal, watching as the entities began a new approach pattern. Because we're running out of options. The crystalline commander's form pulsed with rapid colors. Your quantum entanglement fields forced them into our reality. But what if we reversed the principle? Used our combined technologies to briefly push ourselves into their state of existence. Dr. Patel's eyes widened. Enter a quantum superposition at a macro scale. The calculations alone would be impossible by conventional methods. Ixal's science officer interrupted. But we've noticed something. The quantum resonance between our technologies. It's creating new harmonics we've never seen before. Patterns that shouldn't be possible. Because they're not purely crystalline or purely human, Walsh realized. We're generating something entirely new. Chen studied the tactical display, watching the void entities advance. How long would we have once we cross over? Moments, Patil answered. And there's no guarantee we could return. Unless, Ixal added, their form brightening, we use their own distortion fields as a reference point, a quantum anchor back to normal space. The plan was audacious, borderline insane by any rational standard. They would deliberately push their ships into a state of quantum uncertainty, existing partially in the same realm as the void entities. In that state, they could potentially affect them directly. But one miscalculation would scatter their atoms across multiple dimensions. The crystalline ships will have to maintain perfect formation, Ixal explained. Our precision targeting will hold the quantum state stable while your entanglement fields guide us back. Chen looked around her bridge. Every crew member met her gaze with determination. They had already rewritten the laws of physics once today. Why not do it again? All hands, prepare for quantum shift, she ordered. Dr. Patel, you have 1 minute to solve for an impossible number of variables. Dr. Walsh, maintain our quantum sync with the crystalline fleet at all costs. The void entities sensed something was coming. They began to accelerate, their distortion fields intensifying as they prepared to strike. Now or never, Chen announced. All ships, execute quantum shift. Reality blurred. Every person on every ship felt themselves existing in multiple states simultaneously. Through the view screen, the universe looked different, deeper, stranger, filled with possibilities that human and crystalline minds were never meant to comprehend. The void entities reacted with what could only be described as surprise. In this realm, they were solid, real, and vulnerable. The combined fleet struck. Crystalline weapons, enhanced by human quantum fields, tore through the entity's true forms. The creatures fought back with impossible geometries and dark energy, but they faced something unprecedented. Two species working in perfect harmony, their technologies merged into something greater than either could achieve alone. The battle in quantum space lasted both an eternity and an instant. When the fleet snapped back to normal spacetime, the void entities were gone, not destroyed, but banished back to whatever dark dimension spawned them. All ships, report status. Chen called out, fighting off a wave of dizziness. We're stable, Patel confirmed. Quantum readings returning to normal parameters. Though I think we just invalidated several fundamental physics papers back home. On the command channel, Ixel's form had settled into a steady, peaceful glow. My fleet reports success. Though I believe we will be rewriting our own scientific documents as well. The next few hours were spent securing the area and confirming that no trace of the void entities remained. But something else had changed. Something fundamental in how both species viewed each other. You know, Chen said to Ixel as they prepared to part ways, our first contact could have gone better. The crystalline commander's form rippled with amusement. Perhaps, but I cannot think of a more effective way to prove our species' compatibility. True. Though maybe next time we can skip the chase through the nebula and go straight to rewriting physics together. An agreeable proposal. Ixel's form shifted to a formal pattern. The crystalline collective will be most interested in establishing proper diplomatic relations with humanity. Your approach to science and problem solving. It complements our own in ways we never imagined possible. Chen smiled. I think Earth will be equally interested. We have a lot to learn from each other. As the stellar cartographer prepared to depart, Chen couldn't help but reflect on the day's events. They had turned a near disaster into a triumph, transformed potential enemies into allies, and discovered that sometimes the best way to advance was to combine different perspectives into something entirely new. Plot a course for home, she ordered. We have quite a report to write, though I'm not sure anyone will believe it. The quantum physics readings will help, Paddle offered, though explaining how we collaborated with a crystalline species to fight interdimensional entities might take some doing. Then we'll just have to show them, Chen replied. After all, that's what humans do best. We don't just tell, we demonstrate. And now we have some remarkable friends to demonstrate with. The stellar cartographer turned toward Earth, its hull still humming with traces of quantum resonance. Behind them, the crystalline fleet set course for their own space. But this wasn't an ending. It was a beginning. Humanity had found not just allies, but partners in the great quest to understand the universe. And somewhere in the vast cosmos, other void entities might be lurking. But now, they would face something they never expected. Two species working as one, proving that the best defense against the darkness was the light of cooperation and innovation.